everybody, welcome to the Shire. As you can probably see, we are not at the Shire right now. We've taken the Shenanigans on the road. I'll introduce to you the owner and purveyor of Gato Malo Coffee, Aaron, my oldest son.
Hello.
And he is going to take us through the steps of making the best roast coffee you could ever imagine. What we're going to do right here is we're going to roast a batch, and that'll be part one of the video. And then part two is we're going to maybe do a pour over, or we might do an espresso. Well, what do you think we're going to do with this? We want to do an espresso with this roast?
We could do espresso, we could do Chemex.
We might do a Chemex.
That'd be pretty versatile.
We can be versatile, but he's going to explain to you the process of this. So I'm going to step aside, I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to turn it over to Aaron. So Aaron, tell us what we're doing here.
Alright, hello. So we are going to roast some coffee. We have 600 grams of Ethiopian washed coffee. And it's from Sweet Maria's. It's a wholesale in the industry, pretty reputable. So it should really make a great cup of coffee. We have the Oleo Bullet. It's quite automated, pretty nice little machine, so it should really do a great job. The one step that you're not necessarily going to see is us sorting the beans. So we lay them all out on a baking sheet and sort through all of the bad beans.
So these are bad beans right
Bad beans. So with Sweet Maria's, you don't really get that many, but what you're looking for is any that may have any kind of black tip, maybe any kind of insect damage or whatnot, just like a defect in the green bean. It can be caused by a lot of different things, but that kind of stuff will ruin your cup of coffee, so we take great care to sort that all out. And then once we are done, we're left with green coffee, and this will soon become a roasted coffee and ready to drink in about a day.
Now, how much is that? You said
this is 600 grams.
So 600 grams is about 1.4 pounds.
Yes.
And now we're going to lose some significant weight by the roasting, so this will be, the end of this will be about what, 1.1, maybe 1.2?
Yes, about that.
Okay.
Yep. So all right, here we go. So the initial part, this is a drum roaster called the charging. We're going to charge the roaster.
Now what's kind of neat as Aaron's doing that, you can see he's got a fan set up to kind of help take the smoke, because roasting coffee does produce some smoke. So he's going to take some of the smoke, you can kind of see it maybe right there coming out, and this will vent, because we're actually right on the balcony of his apartment in San Jose, California. So as a result, we need to kind of keep this as neighborly and friendly as possible. So he has the bullet roaster right here. It's attached to his laptop right here, which allows him to work on the profile that he's going to roast the beans to, because there's many different profiles. There's as many different profiles of coffee roasting as there are coffee drinkers. So he's working on these profiles to really give you a totally custom version of what we're dealing with. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit so that we're a little higher. There we go. It's making me look taller than I actually am. So what is this doing right now?
So right now we're basically, the green beans are soaking up a lot of that heat. Our initial temperature of the drum is going to drop significantly, and we're basically starting the roasting process.
So what's the temperature inside there right now?
So this machine was developed in Europe. It's made in Taiwan. It's very high quality, and I basically have it set on Celsius. So it's got an infrared bean sensor as well as a bean sensor, but the infrared is probably the most accurate. And right now we're at about 128 degrees Celsius and climbing.
Okay. I'll let you do your own conversion, because I can't do that in my head that fast. But you can see right here, the temperature as it's climbing, you can see it developing a little bit more smoke here. Now, what we shoot for when we roast is somewhere like Fahrenheit is 420 to 450, right? Depending on the type of roast. And how long will it take to roast this?
So this roast will probably take anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes.
Wow, that's fast. A lot of people think coffee roasting is a process that takes all night. It doesn't. It's quick.
Very quick.
But it has to be, because the beans are somewhat you think of them as being really hearty, but they're a little bit delicate, and you want to open up the flavor of the bean by roasting, but you don't want to burn it, or you don't want to, dare I say, Starbucks it.
Right.
Because we consider Starbucks to be kind of a curse word.
That's right.
A lot more smoke developing right here if you can see it.
So with this roast, we're going to pretty much get the bean really hot quickly, and then we'll kind of be toasting throughout the end of the roast. So there's many different factors that will determine how quick your bean will take on the temperature. We have drum temp, we have drum speed, and band speed. So right now we're maxing out the temp. We have a max drum speed, and we're going to start slowly bringing our temperature down to the drum and our fan speed up and start toasting as we get a little bit further on the roast.
Now, what's interesting about that is you can't see this because of the nature of how it's set up, but the beans are circulating in there via the drum. The drum is circulating the beans so that none of the beans ever stay, it distributes the heat. Otherwise, if you didn't do that, you'd end up with the bottom of them roasted and the top of them still green. That's not what you want.
That's right, you get all kinds of issues with scorching. So we're getting into the yellowing phase. That's when the green coffee is going to go from a dull green to a dull yellow. And this is often characterized by different smells. The first one you can notice is the smelling of baked bread.
That's pretty cool. Now, what is the intent of this roast? What are you really roasting this one to do? Is this going to be an espresso?
This is a light roast.
This is going to be a light roast.
So you can do everything with it.
Everything.
You can make espresso. Ethiopian coffees usually has a lot of sweetness, some floral taste, and really shines under a light roast. If you roast it too dark, you lose a lot of the origin flavors.
So this could be an espresso, which normally espressos are darker, right?
To an extent, they can be. Darker coffees are easier to extract.
But this will be a wonderful pour-over bonus. Yeah.
But any more espressos can be done really with any kind of roast.
Now, if any of you are familiar with the idea of a Chemex, we had some a little bit earlier today, and that's a really great way. It's a great pour-over concept. We'll show you that. We'll do one of those probably with a follow-on to this to show you what it comes out like. But it's amazing. The smells right now, it doesn't smell like coffee as it's roasting. What would you say it smells like as it's roasting?
At different stages of it different, but overall it'll smell like burnt popcorn.
Right, burnt popcorn is probably good. Now, right now you can't see that well, but if Aaron brings that over, you can see that the beans are no longer green. They're changing from yellow to brown.
Yes.
And that's where we want. And you want brown, you don't want black.
So this is called a trier, and it allows us to see really what's going on with our beans.
So is that those beans are still involved in the drum though, right?
Yes.
So like every time you pull it out, that's different beans.
Those are new beans.
New beans, okay. You can see quite a bit more smoke now. So that's really a kind of symbolic that we're really involved in the roasting process.
Yes.
Now with the traffic, I don't know if you can hear it, but you can hear the beans kind of tossing around in there, kind of like, kind of like you would hear, and tossing, like a popcorn popper. That would be now. Now, one of the things that we look for when we roast is we look for that first crack. Do you get to hear the crack with this?
Yes,
or not
you'll
so
hear
much?
that. So
Okay.
roasting, a bunch of different sensory being used. We're using smell. You'll be able to change or notice the changes in the roast by how things are smelling. Sight. You can look at the trier. You can also look in the little window glass and see. And then the third will be sound. So we should start hearing the cracking soon. And it sounds maybe like popcorn popping or just like cracking.
Yeah, it's like a lighter sound than popcorn popping, but it is quite interesting. I think I just heard.
Yeah,
I just heard.
A little outlier crack.
Yeah, which is very interesting. And what does that do when the beans are cracking? What are they doing?
That's moisture basically getting trapped in there, superheated. Yep, we're rolling.
There they go.
Yep, first rolling crack now. We'll mark it on our computer and we'll start dropping down the temp.
Is that what we're doing? Like you wait for that because now you can hear it cracking pretty accurately. I hope this can come through. But now, interestingly enough, is that when you start to reduce the temperature in the light to medium roast, this first crack?
Yeah, we'll start to do that. We pretty much want a declining rate of rise.
Okay.
So we're going to be shooting for a rate of rise that's constantly changing. And because we're in first rolling crack, we're going to take off the heat, apply the fan, keep the drum speed still at fast, and we'll kind of coast through the rest of the roast.
Got it. This fan is doing a wonderful job of just sending the smoke all the way off the balcony. So that wasn't the fire department. Trust me, that was an ambulance going by. When you're in the city like this, you have to expect those sounds. I think it's pretty amazing that Aaron's been able to accomplish this, set this up, on his balcony with, the commercial type roaster to do this. It's pretty amazing, the setup, and very neighborly, very neighbor friendly. Now the smell is a little bit different. It's a little bit bolder smell. I would say it's a little bit beyond burnt popcorn. It actually smells quite good now. Doesn't smell like coffee yet though.
Now it'll take a few hours to start actually smelling like coffee. So we're getting pretty close to the area where we're going to drop it. Let the development go a little bit longer. We're a little bit over 15% development time. That's the time for the first crack to drop. Go ahead and drop this coffee.
Okay, so what Aaron just did is he opened up the drum, is pouring all of the beans that we just roasted into the cooling vessel. Yep, I'll give it a nice stir. Get it cooling. Now I'm gonna pick this up and I'm gonna bring it over so you can see it. Now, that's just beautiful right there. Look at that. Look at how beautiful those beans look. And that was what, 11 minutes?
That was a total of somewhere around there. I can check later. About 11 minutes.
I'm going to move around so you can see the display on the roaster and the display on the computer there.
But I want to show you that.
Now, what are you stirring that?
Just to aid in cooling.
Okay. Because you want to get the temperature down pretty quickly,
Yeah,
right?
as quick as I can. There's a fan built in, so it's sucking out all of the hot air, and we're cooling down these beans pretty much.
Oh, there's a fan in the cooler.
Yes.
Okay. It's underneath.
Yes.
Got it. And how long does it take to get the beans cool enough to stop the roasting process?
Probably maybe a minute or so. They're probably like cool to the touch now. We're just going to kind of keep stirring, and then they should be ready to go here in a minute now.
That looks beautiful. Those beans look absolutely perfect.
Right.
And that actually looks a little bit, if I had to guess, I would say that's definitely more than a pound. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to set us back down here.
So we're done here, and there's a few things that we still have to do before this coffee is ready to drink. There's going to be a few defects in the coffee itself that we'll have to put gloves on and pick through. But because I'll be drinking this, I'll kind of do a little bit of that now. We're looking for beans that are lighter than the rest, and those are called Quakers. Some coffees have more than others.
Can you tilt it up a little?
Yeah, a little bit of a variation is okay. Then occasionally you have a wide variation. So I'm losing the Quaker right here, but I'll try to put it so the camera can see it. So try to put this there. Okay. So that's the Quaker
light,
there.
Yeah, that's lighter than the other beans.
Yeah, so it's quite easy to see. And I don't know if this will come through in the camera, but there's a Quaker compared to an actual what the bean should look like. So if you did not pick the Quakers through, it's just going to come through as a papery taste in your cup.
Cool.
So we'll get rid of all those Quakers and we'll be good to go.
All right. So essentially, we're done. That's a
We're
batch.
done, yep. So what
Okay.
we'll do is we'll seal this up. It's going to off gas. Right now it doesn't smell like coffee at all. It really will smell like nothing.
So what is off gas?
Off-gassing is the CO2 that's trapped inside the bean. That'll basically start to release. So if you've ever seen in the store where one of the one-way valves breaks in a coffee bag and the bag swells up, that's basically the off-gassing taking place. And
That's
why
because it can't escape.
it can't escape the bag. So they do make certain like containers that you can put the coffee in. I'll show you one of those later on. And basically that allows for the CO2 to exit without oxygen getting into the beans. And it's about ready to be put in there at that time. You just want to make sure it's relatively cool or completely cool if we put that down.
So now that so a question for you. The green beans that we started with, how long do those remain good to be able to roast?
So that really all depends. Sometimes they'll last 6 months. They can also last up to a year, sometimes even more. And once it's roasted, really within 2 to 4 weeks is really the lifetime that you want to have roasted coffee for. If you grind it prior to using it, it's much quicker. But keeping a whole bean is better, less surface for the oxygen to get to, and then that roasted bean will last about 2 to 4 months.
So trust me, this coffee won't last. This will only be a few days. But the point is, like, you could go up to 4 weeks with these beans without losing a significant amount of flavor.
Yeah, it's definitely a decline. So the first few days, or I should say hours, you get somewhat of a flat cup and it really starts to develop. So if we were to drink this right now, we wouldn't really get an accurate taste of what it's going to be like. It's not going to develop for at least 24 to 48 hours. So coffee really has its best window about 3 days to maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. But you're not going to notice that big of a difference within the 4 week span.
How do you tell, and I think I know the answer to this, how do you tell if beans that you've bought are past their prime?
If you buy beans in the grocery store, most likely they already are. Because it's the nature of shipping beans around, they're probably stale. Some higher end coffees, I guess more expensive coffees, will have a roasted by date. But a lot of times companies don't do that just because it would really show how old their beans are. So if you're going to make an espresso with an espresso machine, a lot of the store-bought coffees won't give you adequate pressure, and you actually won't be able to extract the cup to get an actual true espresso. So that's one way to tell. Another way is if you're brewing a Chemex or even any kind of pour over or a drip coffee, then you look as it's brewing. Fresh coffee will have what's called a bloom. So the coffee almost swells up, or the coffee grounds swell up as they're taking on water. But old stale coffee won't. There's no bloom at all.
So isn't it true too that old beans physically look different and they start to get shiny again?
They can. There are a lot of oils in the coffee beans, and right now they're trapped inside the bean. Now, if we were to roast these a lot longer and have the internal temperature rise, the oil would basically start leaking out of the bean. That's when you get like what's called a French roast.
Oh, so the French roast is shiny.
It is shiny, and it's shiny by nature, and sometimes those oils will actually go rancid. So French roasts, in some ways, isn't necessarily the best for anything. A little bit of oil leaking out of the beans is fine, but you've probably seen oil or the beans in the store where the entire bag is coated in that oil. I think of Costco, like San Franciscan brand has one, and the beans are just black, and the bag looks extremely oily. And that oil will actually go rancid, so those beans don't taste all that great. But as they age, what you'll taste basically is just a flatter taste. You won't get as many of the sugars or the floral notes that you would from a good specialty coffee.
So we went from green beans that Aaron sorted out, 600 grams, which is about 1.4 pounds, and in 11 minutes we're at a light to medium roast, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 540, 550 maybe grams still if you were to weigh it. So
Yeah,
we lost a little more than maybe 12%. And I'm telling you what, this is the real deal. I mean, what we're gonna do now, we're gonna put this stuff and let it off gas. Then we'll finish this video by showing you the beans that we grind, and we'll maybe do a Chemex or something.
Sounds good.
And it will be the best coffee you've ever seen. And I wish to say the best coffee you've ever tasted, but you'll have to trust me on that one. So check out Gato Malo Coffee, custom roastery, San Jose, California. They can ship all over the country, and it is customized to your specifications. If you like espresso, if you like French roasts, if you like light roasts, if you like pour overs, Aaron can do it specifically to your request. So
Exactly. Yeah, thank you very much. That is
thanks.
true.
This was great. And
Yeah.
anything else?
That's all. Check us out at gatomalocoffee.com. Also, the Instagram's linked on that webpage. You can check out different origins there. The origins change often, which is a good thing. It means you can try all kinds of different things. If you're new into specialty coffee, you can always email us and just tell us the kind of tastes that you like in a normal cup of coffee, or what you're kind of hoping for, and we can definitely cater to what you like individually.
You cannot go wrong. It is the real deal. Got off the plane today, made me a cup of coffee. It was like I had been up since 3:30 this morning. I was ready for the day.
That's right.
Beautiful stuff. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we're going to show you some actual roasted, some coffee that we've made, and let you kind of enjoy through us. So thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Stay tuned.